late. You can't save it. You'll try. It'll consume you.
Wow, no.
Wait, I think we got ahead of ourselves. Run this shit back real quick. What's up, guys? It's your boy Oda Shinobi here, and welcome back to the channel. I can't lie, the love and support on the last video has been nothing short of incredible. It's officially my most viewed and engaged upload yet, and we just welcomed 10 new subs to the family. To the new Shinobi, you've officially joined the dojo. The fire's still raging, and today we're bringing our Outriders saga to a close with a two-part finale that hits harder than a perfectly timed teleport slash. We're finishing the base game and tearing through the endgame expeditions, dissecting the New Horizon overhaul with that juicy transmog system, buff legendary loot, and removal of those stress-inducing timers. And finally, we'll be diving headfirst into the chaos that is Worldslayer. So if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on your post notifications on so you know whenever I post a new video. And if you like this kind of content, drop a thumbs up so that I can know and make more of it. Oh, and sound off in the comments if you'd like to see build videos to follow this series. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so we kind of pick off a little bit after Bailey had a little bit of a power trip. Let me catch you up real quick. So, our dear friend Bailey got spiked by the altered cosmic wave and suddenly gained powers for like a few minutes. Think of that episode when the Flash used to take the V9. I think it was Jay Garrick who was actually Zoom who was taking V9 to be fast, but yeah, you get my point, right? So basically it was a short-term kind of situation. But Shawty got so tripped out that she went power crazy. An actual power trip. And of course, pride cometh before the fall. She thought she didn't need us. She thought she was more powerful than everybody and decided to say, well, fuck it. If y'all think you can take me down, I'm going to take y'all down first. And unfortunately, the juice ran out right when she was about to end everybody. Thank God, just saying. And the stone crushed her lower half, leaving her a paraplegic. Okay, kids, now that we're all caught up, I'm going to get back to the script. We pick up right after Bailey's incident. Let's not sugarcoat it. She got drunk off the power and paid the price. That wasn't a sacrifice, that was hubris on full display. From there, we press on through the war-torn ruins of humanity's last breath, cutting a path toward the ancient Pax settlement. Now, of course, this part in Outriders kind of leads us into a new kind of enemy type, or basically a little bit of like a preamble to what's going to happen in the end. So, of course, our trusty Outrider goes out to go scope out the scene to see why there's a sudden fire in the middle of the fucking desert. Because as far as we're concerned, we're the only life forms that are supposed to be out here currently, because we killed everything on our way to this cave. But of course, daring as one is, we do end up approaching and finding out that it's another enemy, the kind that you do not want to see in the middle of the night when you wake up to go take a piss. Yeah, that kind. And of course, we square off with now a new set of enemies, which are not insurgents, but these are feral packs. These are those that have been corrupted by the anomaly energy and are now just raging, screaming, mindless monsters wanting to rip your face off. But of course, I win, because I'm him. We do discover that they're using Outrider weaponry, and that just seems a bit odd, considering that the weapons that are not supposed to have gone this far are suddenly out here. But that doesn't go without saying. Now that we've discovered what exactly the problem is, we go back to the cave and say, hey, well, it's just a big, ugly motherfucker that was just, starting a fire. But everybody's gone. For some strange reason, while this was all happening, it was all a distraction because the rest of the crew got kidnapped. And yes, the cripple too. But funny thing is, she's nowhere to be seen in any of these scenes, at least until after the encounter of this particular level. But I digress. We find the crew, we rescue them, but we're missing one. Shauna, where is she? She turns out to be actually fighting these packs for her dear life because for some strange reason, they thought her meat was much more tender. Yeah, I'm gonna need to cut that out. But in this entire situation, she is losing badly and she's almost on the verge of death. Of course, we come face to face with our new main antagonist, Yagak, who we're gonna see a few more times for the rest of the game. And I say a few more times only because of the base story, but you get to see him for the rest of the game because it's practically undying. But fuck that. We've got our main man, Yakub, who is about to commit the ultimate sacrifice. But of course, he takes a swig and he has to jump out guns blazing like Soulja Boy during that robbery.
I hop out, I start shooting. Bow, 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 bow. Shot the nigga. Bow, shot his ass. Bow, 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 bow.
Of course, This is one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the game simply because we've lost one of our closest friends, at least to the Outrider, and the second person in a long time from the early days. Now it's just basically him and Shira. Everyone else was born during this mess, and the only people who know of their time on Earth, well, they're not so many anymore. And that's kind of a bit of a problem. It's isolating. It's kind of encapsulating the darkness and the feel of the tone of the game, showing a more solo approach to the Outrider's journey. And eventually, this kind of transcends and actually retranslates a little bit more clearer in Worldslayer. But before we get to Worldslayer, let's finish off this one. So, we square off against Yagak in a vicious battle, but not without loss. Yakub, our gruff but loyal driver, falls in the line of duty. But that isn't without saying, because this fight is more of a preamble to your final fight in the entire game. Because, you know what, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. But for those that have already played the game, you know, if you know, you know what I mean? But this is basically an intro to what to expect, to how he fights, the kind of style, and as well as the kind of mechanics that you need to look out for. And you see a lot of this culminate towards the final battle, because all these things that you've learned from the beginning of the game up until now, yeah, you tested on it in a very, very grueling two-phase fight. It's with heavy hearts and a determined resolve that our crew pushes forward to uncover the signal's source. But before that, we have to put our dear friend Yakub to rest. And we all do hear everybody sharing a bit of piece of their experiences and their memory of Yakub. Some colorful language was used to describe it, but we push on because he wouldn't have wanted us to mope around. So of course, the show goes on, and now we're in a desert surrounded by what seems to be relics of Earth's military past. Something that should not be present, because apparently these guys were the first humans to reach Enoch. But as the game progresses, we come to discover that that is not entirely true. Anyway, we do end up finding somewhat of another lead to the signal. However, we cannot still transcribe it or even hear it clearly because it's still affected by the interference of the anomaly. But of course, Zahidi is on it, and at least it shows we're on the right track. So we decide to set off for our next destination, but not without noticing that the storm is progressing and it's not getting any better. But before we can even look away, we spot someone, a very own nemesis, praying to the freaking thing, and he's not dead. He's like,
I never yielded, and as you can see, I am not dead.
I swear this dude's got more lives than a fucking cat, bro. At this point, it's like, why even bother trying to kill him? But anyway, it gives us a chance to get our lick back, and this time, make sure he's actually dead. Ergo, our character now enters their YN phase. Following the mysterious signal, we finally arrive at Monroy's long-abandoned post. It's desolate, eerie, and a monument to delusion. But the real revelation comes when we reach the Caravel. Buried beneath the wreckage of old world ambition, we kind of find him. Monroy, freaking alive, after all these years. And not only do we find Monroy, we finally find the signal. Turns out it's been on a loop for the last God knows how many years. And this is only one of many revelations. But nonetheless, the journey has practically reached its end, and we're now about to roll the credits. However, it doesn't stop without giving us a final look into what actually went down. So we finally get to hear the real story of Enoch. And believe you me, it was nothing as you were expecting, because it's a doozy. And of course, humanity is a problem of it all because we just fuck shit up everywhere we go. I mean, the whole reason we're in Enoch in the first place is because Earth got fucked up so bad, we just couldn't live there no more. And eventually we all left. And our big blue giant floating space rock got blown to bits. So practically in this universe, Earth doesn't exist. It doesn't exist at all because we fucked it up, and now we're about to do the same thing to another planet. However, I stepped in to save the day. Yes, it was me. The most interesting thing was realizing that Monroy is actually still alive. And the realest question is, how the hell did he do this? Did he eat the rest of the crew members? What was he doing for food? What was he doing for, well, clearly the guy was demented because he thought he was seeing ghosts when he first interacted with the gang. And of course, he eventually relays telling them how his sacrifice and his plan is the reason why we are here the way we are and being altered and the like. And of course, He gives on this rhetoric about slavery and oppression, and yeah, Shauna doesn't really take too kindly to that, considering she lived through slavery and oppression. Yeah, so she took one for the team and smoked the dude right between his eyes. Well, more like a bullet to the back of the head, but tomato tomato. And honestly, she doesn't hesitate. Straight up ends him. No grand speech, no drawn out justice, just cold necessary execution. It's poetic in its own way. Monroy, the self-proclaimed savior, brought down not by war but by one of the very people he wanted to lead. You can feel the story shifting, the old world's grip finally breaking. Meanwhile, Zahidi's in the background doing science things, trying to bring down the damn resource pods from orbit. You know, the whole reason we started this mess in the first place. He got the signal cleared up and he's locked onto the pod system, and it's funny looking like we're gonna get some wins. But of course, Outriders being Outriders, things don't go smoothly because someone else is watching, someone else is waiting. Of course, you guessed it, it's motherfucking Yagak.
Kinda. That's one ugly son of a bitch. I ain't gonna hold you. Yagak!
That's right, fucker, I'm here.
So in typical fashion, I kind of left my audio in it for this one because I felt like you wanted to hear what it's like to fight this dude again for like the second time. And honestly speaking, it was as annoying as you're seeing it on this screen right now. But again, my build is optimized, so it was basically easy.
Hit the fucking bullets. Don't forget to tip the waiter.
Shout out Weezy.
Let's go.
Yeah, so to quote Shauna, it's not over till it's over, right? So yeah, we get a second phase for this guy.
Phase 2, let's go.
What would a cinematic end not be like without a second phase? I don't know, never had one. This is what you get, a second phase to fight this motherfucker. Hopefully you get the job done this time around, because clearly 2 times, 3rd time's a charm maybe? We'll see. Alright, queuing in for round 3, Yagak.
Wanna be Kratos.
I never yielded! And as you can see, I am not dead!
Yeah, he's back, and this time he's reducing. But of course, I had to introduce him to my little friend once again. Nah, bro's out here really walking like you just kicked him in the nuts, but we just dumped the whole clip on this dude, bruh. What the fuck? And even after we finally drop him, for now anyway, the story doesn't let up, because some way, somehow, this dude's a cockroach. He's gonna come back. But of course, all good things must come to an end. But what I liked the most about this moment and the rest of this particular final chapter was how it raises questions about the whole narrative. Why was Monroy preserved? What does that say about the ECA's real agenda? It made me really think deeper about the world building, which is something Outriders does pretty well if you pay attention. From a gameplay perspective, this section also delivers some of the best pacing, mixing exploration, combat, and storytelling in a way that never drags. Back on the Caravel, Zahidi's still mashing keys like it's a speed run, counting down to the big drop. Meanwhile, the bridge is under siege. Shauna's holding the line, and crippled Bailey, bless her stubborn chaotic soul, is blasting away with that little strength she has left. It's chaos, explosions, screams, that classic everything's falling apart but trust the process moment. Then just as it looks like we're about to get overrun, Zahidi enters the fight. He finishes the sequence, stands up, and joins the shootout like a total legend. Lab coat or not, the man's got hands. And right when it seems like we're not gonna make it, Tiago rolls up in the truck, our very own Groot in human form.
I'm Groot.
Squad makes her escape, and from the distance, we watch as the resource pods finally drop from orbit, raining down like celestial supply crates. It's biblical, literally, manna from heaven, humanity's second chance, and all because of me, the great altered who pulled the world back from the edge. People start showing up, drawn by the pods, and the legend of what we just did. We're no longer the outcasts, we're the ones who brought hope. This moment, this crescendo of action, emotion, and payoff officially marks the end of the base game's campaign. But it doesn't stop there. This is where Outriders transitions into its endgame. Expeditions, legendary loot hunts, the chase for the perfect build, and now the grind truly begins. Somehow, Yagak survived, again, Anyway, if you haven't checked out part 1 and 2 of this Outriders series yet, you're missing half of the chaos. I've linked them right here on the screen and in the description so you can catch up on the full journey before you tear into the endgame.
We're in the endgame now.
Okay, so this is where Outriders opens up and the real grind begins. Expeditions. And let's be honest, the goal here is the loot. Not just any loot though, I'm talking shiny things. Gold, legendary gear. That dopamine hit when you see that beam of light and you know you just pulled something spicy. And at this point in the base game, each class had 3 unique legendary armor sets that you were chasing, and if you're serious about your build, you actually needed them. But there was a catch, and there's always a catch.
Can I count on your support? Bro.
Dude, what's the catch? There's always a catch.
There's no catch.
Ah, but there was. You had to beat the timer to qualify for the best rewards, at least until New Horizon came along. In order to embark on any expedition, you accessed them from the table next to the giant drop pod. You chose your mission from the map, hit go, and fought your way through. Expeditions were a rotating pool, so after you finished one, the next one would be completely different. The ultimate challenge though was Eye of the Storm, where you get to square up with our favorite undying cockroach, Yagak, one more time. Outside of expeditions, there were other ways to guarantee a legendary like the Beast Hunts or Captain Hunts. These consisted of 10 targets each scattered across Enoch, unlocking special mission areas. Finish the set, head back to Yu-Gi-Oh! In the VIP lounge or the barkeep, cash in your tokens, and get a guaranteed legendary of your choice. But here's the thing, if you could crush the timer in expeditions, that was still the fastest, most efficient way to farm gear. Problem was, the timer was brutal, especially if you cranked up the difficulty for better drop rates. You had to have a god tier build to even stand a chance. And on the chance that you were able to beat the timer, you would get a guaranteed piece of legendary gear or a legendary weapon. But that was not the only thing you got. You were also awarded drop pod resources, a special currency that you can take back to Tiago, and trust me, Tiago's shop is like Christmas morning for the Altered. He'll trade you those resources for guaranteed legendary weapons and armor. So it forced you to push yourself to higher challenge tiers, and the rewards would only get better. More drop pod resources, more legendaries, and a faster path to fully kitting out your ultimate build. And that was until New Horizon happened. Outriders New Horizon swept in like a balancing patch from the heavens and fixed a ton of the bull from the early days. One of the biggest changes was a no more timer requirement. You could take your time, play your way, and still get your rewards. Timed runs was still an option for speed freaks, but the pressure was gone, and that was just the start. So let's start off with some new content. 4 new expeditions were added: City of Nomads, Molten Depths, the Marshal's Complex, and the Wellspring. New legendary weapons like the Ruiner Revival and the Ruiner Scythe were also added to the game, increasing the already large and vastly untapped loot pool. Moving on, my favorite update that came along with the New Horizon was the no more timer requirement. You could take your time, play your way, and still get your rewards. Time runs were still an option for speed freaks, but the pressure was gone. Next up, we had legendary loot upgrades. Beating the Eye of the Storm now lets you pick 1 of 3 weapon drops. Tiago's store got revamped with the mystery legend purchases and rerollable stock, plus guaranteed 100% drop rate boosts and an anti-duplication system, so the game stopped trolling you with the same gloves 14 times. The next big update was transmogrification. Full weapon and armor skin customization free of charge, unlock styles just by looting them. And honestly, this was huge for me because that Akari set was absolutely atrocious. It was ugly. My Pyro build slapped, but it looked like it came from a garbage sale. Now my drip matched my DPS because I was blazing hot and my drip was fire. No cap. This really allowed me to customize my Outrider to what I really envisioned my Outrider to look like, based on my story in my RPG playthrough, as well as the kind of look I was going for, you know, being almighty and all powerful. The drip needed to match, and thankfully New Horizon allowed me to do this. It allowed more customization options for a lot of players because now you're no longer locked to some ugly looking put together situation that you kind of just picked up along the way. It actually felt more intentional at this point, and for that reason, that was one of my biggest selling points for New Horizon. And the best part is I didn't have to pay a single dime because this update was 100%, you guessed it, free. And along with all of that, many other improvements came around, such as quality of life changes with skippable intro cinematics, quick mark vendor functionality, control customization tweaks for console, crossplay that actually worked, and buff skills and gear across all classes. And that, my friends, is New Horizon. And so we've come to the end of another video, but don't fret, we still have more coming up for you. We leave it here for now with Monroy exposed, the truth of the Caravel revealed, and Yagak cut down on one of the wildest boss fights in the entire campaign. But don't think it's over. We've just covered the Endgame, Expeditions before the overhaul, and the massive New Horizon update that flipped everything on its head. Next time, we dive straight into Worldslayer, a whole new frontier with apocalypse tiers, legendary loot, and the trial of Taria Greater, a gauntlet that tests every ounce of your build and patience. So if you've been enjoying the ride so far, do me a solid, drop me a like, hit the subscribe button, and join the dojo so you don't miss the finale. And hey, if you want to see me put together build videos for Pyro, Techno, Trickster, or the Devastator, let me know in the comments below. This was the end of one chapter, but the real endgame is just beginning. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you in the next video. It's your bro Oni, signing out.